Hi, I'm calling to see what kind of theater Theater 13 is. Is okay, and that's not a dine-in theater? Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I need to know. No reserve seats.
No reserve seats for?
Doctor Who tonight.
What night?
Doctor Who night.
Doctor Who? In order to know who he is, let's talk about time. Time, and particularly time travel, have been a dominant factor in science fiction literature, films, and television for almost a century and a quarter. It all began when a young writer named Herbert George H.G. Wells wrote about time as a fourth dimension of space. This was in 1895, 21 years before Einstein published his theory of special relativity. Wells imagined a machine capable of traveling through time. His novel, The Time Machine, took its protagonist into the distant future to a world populated by frail creatures and the monsters that preyed on them in an adventure that's never been out of print. 75 years after its publication, The Time Machine made its film debut in an Academy Award-winning special effects extravaganza starring Rod Taylor and directed by legendary science fiction director George Pal. 3 years after the worldwide release of The Time Machine, television responded with a time-traveling adventure of its own called Doctor Who. Now, the Doctor is a time traveler, but he isn't an inventor. He's the last of a race called the Time Lords from a lost planet called Gallifrey. His time machine isn't a brass framework surrounding a leather chair and a spinning disc either. It's a blue police call box, and it's capable of flying to any point in space or time. This time machine is called a TARDIS, and the time traveler himself, well, he calls himself the Doctor. Since Doctor Who hit the airwaves on BBC television 50 years ago, 11 actors have played the Doctor. This poses no problem, since Time Lords can regenerate. This year celebrates 50 years of Doctor Who on television with a special film that will be aired on BBC America. But the real party is at the special screenings of the film being held in theaters across the country. In Orlando, Florida, our destination was the AMC Cineplex at downtown Disney.
So here we are at the AMC. And here's the line for the movie.
What's that?
And who do we have exactly number one in line?
Me.
This is Rose. To simply say she's a Doctor Who fan would be a gross misunderstatement. She drinks her morning coffee from a TARDIS mug, and she's written several Doctor Who fan fiction novels. She's been looking forward to this night for months, which is why we're here 3 hours before showtime.
And what time is it now?
Doctor Who time.
Wait, what time?
Oh, 5.
5 o'clock.
One of the best parts of events like this is people dressing up, especially when you can spot their likeness from across the room. When I asked the Ninth Doctor to pose for a picture, I offered to let him borrow my Sonic.
You got one, alright.
Silly me. This guy was great. He thought it came out great. Can I have a copy?
So, nice.
Great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He emailed it to himself.
People coming to an event like this always either dress up or at least wear their favorite t-shirt, and they always bring their best toys. I like Rose's sonic screwdriver.
And yes, they are playing Doctor Who Young True.
Not the number I needed. So,
It's sort of like bringing a toy lightsaber to a Star Wars convention, if you know what I mean. This one, I must admit, is a little unusual.
This guy didn't quite have the likeness down, but serious points for the best brown pinstripes I had seen yet.
All the Who's down in Whoville.
And here's someone that fashioned a TARDIS out of a Mickey Mouse hat. Ha! Only in Orlando.
Guy in a suit, in sneakers, and a bow tie, walking by. I would have never guessed there were so many people living near me that were Doctor Who fans.
That's the line, and we're in the front.
I had expected a few diehard fans to show up before us, and even though we were the first, I never expected the line would get this long. I knew this event was one of a kind in Who history. I still couldn't believe it was in theaters. I was taking pictures of everything.
About an hour before showtime, they let the sold-out crowd into the theater. It was still a long way from the flick, but at least there was a wealth of Who trivia up on the screen.
It's gotta be the Who. What do you think? The Beatles.
I don't know, they're all idea.
The Beatles. Oh, wow.
They said, move over once, move over twice. Come on, baby, don't be cold as ice.
I would say I'm betting a canine. A TARDIS, okay. And you say a TARDIS, yay, you win.
And finally, it was time for the flick, in which David Tennant as the 10th Doctor and Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor meet John Hurt as the War Doctor to decide the fate of Gallifrey. You kind of have to already be a Who fan to know what was going on, but that doesn't matter, because the event is better than the flick anyway.
Since I got the camera rolling, tell me, give me an opinion.
Awesome.
That's it?
Well, there's too much to tell. It was jam-packed with awesomeness.
Yep. Supersonics in the air.
All the sonics is going to cause a paradox.
Yep.
Something's going to
Well, that's it for this tiny whiny. I'm Davey, the last wanderer of Mars. This has been my flick, and I hope you've liked it. And don't forget to subscribe to The Last Wanderer of Mars. Or else.